Hey everyone, I'm Jay Shear, and welcome to Business Minds Coffee Chat. The goal of this show is to share insights, help to lift and inspire others, and deliver practical, meaningful, and actionable content. Where do purpose and meaning come from? Have you found your purpose? Many of us struggle with growing our business because we're not connected with and living our purpose. On today's episode, we're going to be exploring these topics and digging deep with a subject matter expert. Our guest today is a speaker and executive leadership coach who helps high achieving women entrepreneurs and leaders make decisions with clarity, confidence, and an alignment with their purpose. She earned a doctorate in philosophy, is a tenured professor, and has over 20 years of experience in researching, teaching, and studying meaning, purpose, and passion in the lives and work of women leaders. Please welcome the founder of Purpose-Based Success Academy and the author of the upcoming book, Purpose-Based Decisions, an inspirational guide to more meaning, purpose, and passion in your life, business, or career, Dr. Robin Owens. Robin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jay. What a wonderful and warm welcome and introduction. I'm so happy to be here with you and everybody who's listening or watching.
Oh my gosh, I am thrilled to have you here. What an incredible topic to delve into, and I'm so glad that you are here with us today to share your wisdom and share your knowledge and insights. And where I would love for us to start, if we could, is to talk about your origin story. And as you share that with us, what was the catalyst, Robin, to helping others find more meaning, purpose, and passion?
Mhm. Now, there's always a danger when you ask somebody who's passionate about a topic to go into the origin story because this could be a while, but I'll give you the shorter version of it. But I'll tell it in two portions. My earliest remembrance of doing this kind of work, looking back now, I realized it started when I was just a small child. I was 6 years old living in Connecticut, in the great state of Connecticut, as I like to say, and sitting there on the front porch, big front porch, looking across the street at the trees. And my cousins and siblings are inside and they're laughing and playing. And I hear them about to come outside on the porch with my father. And I hear my father say to them, "Don't go out there and bother Robin. She's out there contemplating the meaning of life." And then he laughs, ha 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 ha, ha, right? He thinks this is funny. I'm embarrassed by this because I'm thinking, oh, I felt like such a weird child. Yeah, because I was doing that. I was just thinking about the big issues of life. And I needed time away to do that. And of course, I didn't realize until years later, as an adult, looking back, how that was a pivotal moment of reflection of who I am and what I do today. So that's the early origins of my focus on meaning.
So I want to interrupt you for just one moment. So this was at a very early age. Your father steps outside and makes that statement. What was it about you at that time in life? What did he connect with that would have led him to say that? So there must have been some examples where you did a fair amount of contemplating.
Yeah, and I didn't even realize it, of course, right? And even as a kid, it didn't occur to me until later. So as an adult, because I didn't have this conversation with him, because I didn't realize it until long after he had passed away, that that was a connection.
Mm.
But anyway, I thought to myself, he noticed. In the summertime, most kids like to sleep late when there's no school, right? And the old school traditional summers, like now we're having an unusual summer, but then, summer was a time where you could sleep late, you can kind of do what you want in the mornings. As a kid, I got up early in the morning and I would get my bike and go out uh, or go to the park and just be out in quiet, right? That was when I was a little older, but in those young years when I was 6 or 7, I would just go out into the porch early in the morning and just be quiet. or I would have times away from the kids. Now, I enjoyed running and playing and laughing, but there was always some time that I needed. Sometimes I'm just off by myself, looking out the window, um, daydreaming is what I thought it was, daydreaming.
Mm-hmm.
But I did always have those big questions of life.
Interesting. So, what were some of the things that you were passionate about as a child, as you're able to reflect back?
Yeah. Um, what I would consider to be regular kid things, right? When I say regular, playing with other kids, games, running, and all that kind of stuff. But there was also this other side of me that liked to be quiet and liked to think and read and study, good student, love school. just for some reason, just always loved school. And as a little kid thought, oh wow, it'd be great to be a teacher. So I was that kind of kid. But nothing unusual that you would think would lead to this path other than that getting away and needing some time just to what I thought was daydream and
Mm.
considerable amount of time. But then also to get back and play and run and have fun with the kids.
Do you recall some of the books that you were reading at that time?
I don't remember the books necessarily. I remember there was a sort of like a kids magazine called Highlights. I don't know if you ever heard of this, but it
Yeah.
had lots of kind of playful things that you can do, puzzles and things like that within in the magazine. I remember that the books that we read for school and the novels and those things, they didn't make that much of an impact on me as much as those Highlight magazines.
I remember those too. I used to always see them at every doctor's office
Yes,
or
yes.
dentist office.
Yeah, for some reason we had a subscription of those that came to the house along with the encyclopedias because that's when they had encyclopedias that were actually books. Yeah. And
Very nice.
I did spend a lot of time with those encyclopedias. I'm kind of embarrassed to say now.
Nothing to be embarrassed about. Look where it's taken you.
Yes, yes.
Excellent. So Maslow's hierarchy of needs has self actualization, the quest for meaning in our lives, at the very top of the pyramid. What is purpose and meaning, and why do they matter?
Yeah. I love those questions, of course. Purpose for me, and this is what I teach people now. Okay, this might be shocking. Hold on. You ready? Your purpose is for you to express who you really are. That's your purpose. Now that sounds like, well, what does that mean? It's abstract, who I really am. Your purpose, and there are probably people here who are in business and in careers. Your purpose is to express who you are, where you are in your business as a business owner, in your career as a professional. And what that means is in my research, my own experience, my doctoral research, and my research for the book that I'm writing, I have observed these things in my own lives and the others.
Mhm.
This is how you get at who you really are, and this is how you get at your purpose. Your purpose is always there. It's there and it's leaving clues all the time. And the goal is to have it express itself. Lots of times when I talk to people, they think purpose is this big grand event. I have to then solve the issues of homelessness or some societal ill. That may be the case, but it really is to use who you are to do the work you're doing. And that shows up in three ways through your passions. Now, we hear people say all the time, look, discover your passion, you'll never have to work a day in your life. But for other people, it sounds daunting. Like it sounds like such a big thing, like passions. I say it's a portion of your purpose. Passion is a portion, and passion is merely those things you love. And not to get too far into it, but those things you love represent broader needs in your life. And I'll just pause for a second and say, for example, because I have a feeling, Jay, you would ask, what's an example of that?
I'm going to ask that question.
So let me before I do the other two part of these three. All right, the passion. So let's say my own experience. I like to get away, right, and have some quiet or be at the park and that kind of thing. So someone might say, "What's your passion?" "Oh, I like going to the park." Not necessarily. I mean, that's the first part of it, but it represents a broader need, something that I call your meta passions, which I got from an author, Greg Lavoie, who talks about these meta passions. So going to the park and being in quiet in various ways represents, I thought, oh, I love that. That's my passion. It represents the need for serenity. So, serenity and peace, that's part of the passion. So, each of the behaviors and activities have a broader expression. So, anyway, that was a digression because I anticipated you might ask that
Well,
question.
thank you for the clarity around that. I appreciate it.
All right. So there's three parts of you to express yourself and then how you use them. All right. So the first one we talked about already, your passions.
Hmm.
The second one is your values. Those things that really matter to you. Really, really matter to you. So we have your passions, your values, and then the third, your natural abilities. Now some people might call them your strengths or your gifts or your zone of genius. I call them your natural abilities. And each of those passions, values, and natural abilities, just like we did with the example of the passions, they represent a different part of you. You can go even more in depth to what it's saying inside of you.
Okay.
All right, so you have those three things: passions, values, natural abilities. Then, when you use some aspect of them, some aspect in combination, so all three of them, something from each one in combination, in service to something or someone other than yourself, now you are expressing your purpose. You are
Mm.
expressing who you really are.
So, ho- the logical next question for me is, how do we discover what our purpose is? You've given us the pieces and parts, and have talked about the importance of each and how they all come together. And you do workshops on this, but how do we discover that? What specific steps can we take?
Okay, fair question. That is absolutely the natural next question, right? So I'll give you, and you're right, I do teach on this, and I'm preparing a new course right now to teach all this that we're talking about. But I'll give you a portion of it. So let's say your passions. How can I find my passions? How do I know what I love? You and I just gave an example from my early life experience, right? So you can look at your early life experiences because it kind of takes the pressure off of today, right? If you can think about the things you enjoyed as a child, what were the things you really just loved doing? And then if you take some time and move up later in life, think about your teenage years, do the same thing. And then think about your young adult years. What were some of the activities? Don't jump to the interpretation too soon. Just take it step by step. Look at the activities. Like my activity was going to the park. Look at your activities, the ones you really love.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as a separate step, think about what might be those meta passions. What might they represent? Same thing with each of these categories, your values. What are the things that really matter to me? Natural abilities. What am I good at? You know what you're good at by when you were in school. What grades did you get? What did you get the best grades in? Didn't have to be A's, but they better than others. And then you look at them, oh, they all had to do with numbers, or they all had to do with human nature. So when you look at you're mining your life for clues, is what I call it.
Okay.
And so when you get those clues, then you can make a list of, and this is what I walk people through, but you can do this on your own. And you can even ask other people who know and love you well, what do you think I'm good at? They'll tell you.
Hmm.
Or think about what people are always asking you to do. This is for your natural abilities. So people always asking you for help in a certain way, either directly or indirectly. You're the one that organizes the thing, or you're the one they call on for this, or you're the one, or they just expect you to be the one. They know the gifts you have. That's why they're asking you to do it, but you might not even notice it because it's so easy and it comes so naturally to you. We often don't even pay attention.
Yeah, we have a tendency to take that those gifts for granted.
Yes, yes, because they're so easy and they come so naturally to us, but they don't to everyone. And everyone here and listening, we each have something unique. We bring those combinations, our passions, values, and natural abilities together in a unique way because we each have unique experiences.
Mm.
Even if you're siblings and you grew up in the same house, you have two different experiences of life in that situation. So your uniqueness comes out. And I believe when we talk about meaning, it's the only way to have meaning because you're really expressing you. You're really expressing who you are. It's in there, it's already there,
Hmm.
and it's trying to come out. And for some of us, it's coming out in bits and pieces, and some of us, it's not.
Well, I love how you mentioned that it there are clues, right? There's feedback, there is information that we're receiving that we have to pay attention to in order to receive it, in order to be able to take that information and actually work with it. And those clues are there. So I can imagine where being in a workshop with you, where you walk individuals through some exercises to help them better understand what their passions are and then tie that to purpose and meaning, that would be very powerful.
Yes, yes, it is. It really is. It's to me, it's when I see the light come on in people's eyes and that aha, it to me is just such a almost sacred moment.
Yeah, I want you to speak to that for a moment because that you have found your purpose and meaning. We spoke about that the last time we had a conversation. And you're also a professor, as we mentioned at the beginning. So you're teaching and instructing and around students and you're changing lives. And tell me about that feeling for a moment when you do see that light go on and you fully realize that this individual in front of you or this group in front of you is starting to it's starting to click, right? They get it. You're connecting with them. You're helping them connect on a much deeper level. What is that feeling like for you?
It feels like I am doing the thing that I'm here in my life to do.
Hmm.
And it's almost kind of hard to describe, but I'm guessing for those who are listening, if you have those moments, you work with people and you see the transformation, even you, Jay, see the transformation. For me, because purpose is in my consciousness, I know I feel a sense of deep, satisfying fulfillment. It's like, this is why I'm here. Even if it were only one person, and it doesn't have to be millions, it doesn't have to be. Even one person in that moment, I feel like I'm myself because I'm doing this.
Hmm.
And I'm fully expressing myself because I'm doing this. And I see this transformation right in front of my eyes. And then I get the joy to do it over and over again in the university and outside of the university in different ways. And I love it.
That's
Love,
fantastic.
love, love it.
The reason that I'm asking you the question about the feeling that you have when you do make that connection is because we're all different and we all experience things in different ways. But I also think it's important for someone who perhaps has not found their purpose or meaning yet, and they can, but perhaps they haven't found it yet. What does it feel like, right? So the description that you gave is a wonderful, it's a beautiful description. And there's a similar feeling that I feel when I'm working with clients and you just know, right? It goes more, it's deeper than just a gut feel, but you know when they are resonating with your message and when that transformation is taking place. And that's a feeling that for me it's pretty difficult to articulate, but it's one that when you do talk to people about purpose like you and talk about meaning, you hear some similar language used, and it's really interesting. I don't know if you find that yourself. I do in many
Yeah.
that I speak with.
What's the language? What's the similarities you hear? I was just curious.
It typically, the funny thing is it goes back to feeling. It goes back to emotion. It sometimes bypasses the limbic system, right, and the prefrontal cortex, and it goes more to a deep-seated feeling when that transformation takes place. And we normally talk about the feeling associated with it. And those feelings are coming from brain chemistry. I get that, but it just seems like it's at a much deeper level.
Yeah. 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 I was curious. I'm glad. Thank you for answering that. I know it's supposed to be going the other way, but I appreciate you answering that question for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want to shift for a moment. So you've been researching, teaching, etc. for over 20 years. What are some things that we have learned over those 20 years that we did not know before?
Yeah. I don't know if we didn't know before, but across the board, purpose is connected with life satisfaction. Period. Across, no matter who talks about it, how they talk about it, when you have purpose, it is automatically connected to life satisfaction.
Hmm.
And so lots of people talk about it in different areas of life, but across the board, satisfaction. I see it also as direction, which is something that I appreciate. I like to have a plan. Lots of us, and I'm sure lots of people listening and talk or watching are like, yes, I'm a person who likes to have a plan. Like what's next year, 5 years going to look like, which is why this time of uncertainty is like really just got us all out of whack. But
Hmm.
we like a plan, right? So purpose, it gives guidance. It gives guidance. You're doing what you're supposed to do. And so the steps in between, you can tolerate them. So it gives you resilience. Keep going. Resistance. Well, this is not going to bother me to the point where it's going to throw me off track
Mm-hmm.
because I have this guide. I know this is what I'm going for. It's a powerful, powerful energy. And think about it, backed by purpose, and I mean, backed by passion, your love, backed by those things that are really important to you, and then that you can do them, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
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 And I have one of my studies, one of my favorite studies that I can remember. I hadn't thought about it in a while until you said that. Looking back at your childhood experiences is very valuable information in getting at this across the board.
Mm.
We grow up and we have bigger bodies, we're taller, but there's a lot of the same person still in there.
For sure. So true.
Typically when we talk about childhood, a lot of time people remember those difficult times of their childhood. But if you think about those times that were playful and fun and what you know about yourself, a lot of that is still there. And I hear people they're during this quarantine reconnecting just with some of the things, they didn't have anything else to do. They were like, oh, I remember I used to paint when I was a kid. So I went and bought a paint kit and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But the point is early childhood experiences are very valuable in understanding this.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. So so we talked about how we find and discover our purpose, and there are exercises that we can do. There are things that we can do to ask the right kinds of questions and do that deep thinking. You have taken this to a step or to a new level where you created a purpose-based decision-making system.
Yes.
That to me sounds incredibly interesting. So could you walk us through what that purpose-based decision-making system is and how we can apply that in our businesses?
Yes. Yes. I'm glad you asked that question. It's a continuation of what we've been talking about already. All right. So we have our passions, we have our values, and we have our natural abilities. Now, and in service, use service to something beyond yourself, right? So now you're coming across a decision in your life. Let's on business, career, what's the best way to use your time? Let's do that, right? Let's say I have this choice or that choice. What's the best way to use my time? You go through those three areas that we talked about.
Mhm.
Does this involve something I love? Does this involve something that's important to me? Is this something I can do fairly naturally? Yes, yes, yes. All right, you're moving in the right track. And extra bonus for meaning, will this help somebody else? Do it, right? If something else comes up, is this something I love? Yeah, I kind of love it. Well, no, maybe not the way to go,
Mm.
right? Is this something I can do very naturally? Yes, it is. But it's not that important to me. It doesn't include something that's really, there's nothing about it that's important to me. And I have no love for it, but I could do it. I would say don't do it. It's not purpose based. You're not being in line with your purpose.
Okay.
This is how we get off into, we end up doing things for other people's expectations and then feeling resentment and just all the things that takes us out of ourselves and who we are.
Yes.
And when we're away from ourselves and who we are, this is when we're disconnected from that sense of having meaning in our life. And, so to stay connected to that, make your decisions around those three things. Now, there are going to be some things that in life that we have to do that, okay, might not meet all three of them. Like somebody has to take the trash out. Somebody's got to do it. We might not enjoy it. Somebody has to do the dishes. But generally speaking, when you're big and smaller issues in life, think about those things. Just ask yourself, does this involve something I love? Does it involve something that matters to me? And is it something I can do fairly naturally and easily? And all these in service to something else.
Mm.
From your ideal clients, who you work with, from your committees, for your teams, who you choose, how you work with them, purpose-based decisions will always keep you in alignment with your purpose.
Love it. The book that you are in the process of writing, tell us a bit about that. And does it go into detail about purpose-based decision making, the steps that you go through?
It does. It goes into detail, expanded detail of our conversation right now. Basically, this is sort of a mini snapshot of it. But I go into detail and I share some of the experiences from my life, my own life experiences, and how I came to this, how I discovered it after a long, um, long, long journey or quest to find this, right? And then I have interviews with about 25 other high achieving individuals, leaders from different fields, from the business world, business leaders, academic leaders, spiritual leaders that I interviewed, to see if their experiences matched my own thinking about it. And they did. And so that was always good. So I include their voices in addition to my own, along with these steps that we're talking about on how you can walk yourself through making these purpose-based decisions so you can have this life that's meaningful and have work that's meaningful.
Love it. And when do you anticipate having that book out?
Yeah, it probably will be out in the spring, next year in the spring.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a publisher and we're going back and forth and so we'll see. But my goal is to have it out in the spring because they have the publisher has its own process of things we have to go through. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
But you don't have to wait for the book because I'm teaching it all the time. So
love it. Fantastic. So let's talk about what is happening in the world today in terms of the pandemic, and how are you processing all that is going on, and how has it impacted your business?
yeah, it's a very sensitive topic. It's a, you know, when I say sensitive, because I hear people talking about it, and it's very um, naturally distressing for some people and very painful, and particularly those who are impacted, whose families or loved ones are impacted in terms of their health. I have a friend who lost two friends, um, and so it's a very sensitive topic, and I use that as a precursor to say um, I understand that, and I'm not insensitive to that. Fortunately for me, I'm in good health. I'm still able to work, and I'm able to create and do these things. I'm able to, and I consider it a privilege of life and honor to be able to do what you and I are doing,
Hmm.
not having to think about where our next meal will come from or where we're going to live or if our lives are at threat every day we go to work. And so, given that, I want to acknowledge the sensitivity to that. But for me, it's a very positive experience because I have the time and space to think and create and finish the book and continue to do this work. That's on a personal level, on a sort of micro level. On a macro level, in the midst of all the chaos, in the midst of all the change, I believe, because I'm an optimist, I believe on the other side of this, and I heard somebody say this yesterday, not a new normal, but a new better. I believe that. I believe that. I mean, it's painful and all those things I just said about this time now for lots of people. Some people are flourishing and growing, and some people are not. But in the midst of it, um, I do believe when we transition through this period of societies, the whole institution, all the institutions are going to shift. I believe. I don't believe we're going to go back not exactly the way it was before. Every single institution in the country, not just education where I am in, business, and we already see, you know, 60% of the businesses, the restaurants in LA where I live, they probably won't go back in business.
Yeah,
But this is a time I have hope because this is a time when creative people start thinking creatively and they come up with new ideas.
that's right.
You know, and you know, someone said to me, after the plague came the Renaissance. So these big shifts, societal shifts, happen after these times of chaos. But it's hard to think about it if you're in the moment of pain and sorrow. But because I'm not, I have the opportunity to enjoy my optimistic thinking. Like if we could get through this, right? We can just support each other, care for each other through it, get through it. We'll see amazing things on the other side. I really
It's
believe
a
it.
it's a great way of looking at it, and it's challenging at times to get perspective when you are in the midst of some pain, as you just expressed. And that's one of the important reasons that we need to surround ourselves with others who can help us look through the situation through different optics. And with your positivity and looking at opportunities, that's extremely helpful. And I'm so glad to hear that it's not necessarily having a negative impact on your business. Are you are you seeing that there's more demand for virtual workshops that cover the areas that you specialize in?
I do. And because I had been teaching online anyway, it was sort of a natural shift for me. I know a lot of speakers, coaches, and consultants and authors are shifting and, kind of trying to make it work. But it was a smoother transition for me because I had been doing some online teaching already. But yeah, but I do see colleagues who are speakers, authors, and coaches, and others who are also doing well because now the demand is different in lots of ways. People are looking for connection in certain ways. And it's not so, we're discovering now how many months into this, well, okay, we're learning virtual and it's not all bad. In the beginning, it was like, oh, this is just such a pain for a lot of people. Like, oh my God. But now, like, hey, they're seeing some silver linings, and the silver linings are popping up here and there. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Excellent. So, what are some key strategies that you would recommend to our viewers that are having a difficult time right now trying to figure out what is the meaning of all of this? But what are some things that they could, some strategic things that they could do immediately to survive, serve, and thrive in their businesses?
It starts with them. If you're a business owner, you are your business. If you're a leader in an organization, it's you. It all comes down to you in terms of take care of yourself is what I'm trying to get at. Start there. You know, a lot we want to help. Lots of us are helping, you know, like we're empathetic, we want to help and do things. But it starts with our own. And you know, I don't want to use this word self-care because it sometimes um, is overused, and it creates an image for some people like self-care means go take a bubble bath.
Hmm.
It could be a bubble bath, and there's nothing wrong with bubble baths. But what I'm talking about is it's okay. Actually, it's important to take care of yourself first. And as business owners and as leaders, and we're doing, stop and think about what would be good for you? What would be good for you? You know, I think in terms of, in addition to what I just said to you about your passions and all that, let's take one of my values. One of my values, it's important for me to have good health. I mean, it's always been this way long before the pandemic. It's important for me to have energy and to be able to enjoy my day. And so I do the things that help me do that. Maybe it's go for a walk, or maybe it's like I said, go to the park. It's important to me to have my own health. And so I think we could get away from that. So I would think the number one thing to do is do something that takes care of yourself. And if we really think about it, we know what that is.
Yeah.
We don't all have to, you know, have an exercise regimen necessarily that, you know, people's like, oh, it's all about exercise. But it could be whatever the thing is that you know makes you feel better. You have permission to feel better because it's important. You can't help anybody else if you're not in your top or in your best space, mentally or physically. Your business or your organization or otherwise, your family. Take care of yourself. You have permission to do it. It's important. It's even critical now, especially because of so much is going on.
Yes, definitely take that time, figure out what it is for you, and do it.
Yeah, even if it's a short amount of time, 15 minutes a day, whatever that thing is, or 30 minutes a day, do it.
You know, it's funny. So my wife and I are walking our dog more often now than we ever have, and I'm sure that's something that a lot of people are experiencing. But what I didn't necessarily realize would be the benefits that come out of just walking outside. I enjoy the mind space. I enjoy just getting outside of my environment and the work that I do throughout the day and just taking those few moments. And really, it only takes 5 minutes or less, but it it has a massive impact on my energy level. And when I come back, what I'm able to accomplish from that point forward is so much greater. So I hear you loud and clear on that one.
Yeah, and good for you getting out there, getting those walks in. Yeah.
For sure. So what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the relationship I have with my niece and nephews. I don't have any children, but now that my niece and nephews are adults, young adults, and they're beginning their own families, and because I live in California and they live in Connecticut, and that we have such a close relationship, means I did what I set out to do, which was to stay connected with them. And I love it. And I tell people my favorite words to hear or see on my text or on FaceTime or whatever. Three favorite words. Hi, Aunt Robin. I love those words because I know it's one of my little darlings gonna follow that,
Oh, that's
either their
terrific.
face or the text. Yeah.
Love
So
that.
I'm most proud of that.
Wonderful. And along a similar vein, what are you most optimistic about right now?
I'm most optimistic about, on a personal level, this work of purpose. I think this time of pandemic is causing more people than usual to think about who they are, what they want to be doing with their lives, and to have a life and have work that's more meaningful. So I'm really, really hopeful and excited about that. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So before I ask my final question to you, where can people connect with you, learn more about the work that you're doing, learn more about your workshops, and when the time comes to buy that book, where are
Yeah.
they going to find that?
Yes, I really would love people to join me. I'm just creating now a course to start in a couple weeks. It's a free course, and we're going to go through each one of those each 4 weeks. We're going to go through the passions the first week, the values the next week, natural abilities, and service, 1 hour each week, and go through those. So when you walk away, you'll have a guide. We'll create your own sort of purpose statement to move forward with. And so I'm excited about that because it's fun. The teacher in me was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to do this. So I would love for people to join me with this free course that's starting in just a few weeks. And if you're interested, you could just go to my website, robinlowens.com, robinlowens.com/free course, and you're in.
All right.
We can do those. I really believe those are going to be transformational weeks, but then again, I would think that, right?
That's okay. I believe that they will be. So you'll probably see my name on that list, Robin.
Good.
I hope that's okay.
I would love to see your name and any other name you want to bring with you.
Absolutely. So we know you're also on LinkedIn.
I am on LinkedIn primarily. That's my new hangout. I'm just
Okay.
kind of moving over to LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah.
And I have your LinkedIn profile name. So we will link to that as well as your website
Yes.
on the show notes here. So I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Great.
And here is my final question to you. So, what 1 to 2 lessons have you learned, Robin, through failure that have had a significant impact on your life?
I'll tell you the number one lesson I learned. There's many, but this is the most important one that comes to mind right now. And I capsulize it in these 3 words. Just keep going. Just keep going. The people who survive, the people who succeed, the the primary difference is they didn't quit. They kept going. Don't give up. If you need help, ask for help. Just keep going, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, don't give up. From my own experience, I took me a long time to complete my PhD while working and doing all these other things, well beyond the years that the average person would do it. But I just kept going. And the majority of the people that start those programs don't finish because it's just like, forget it, quit, it's too much. And really, it's just, if you want to do whatever you want to do, keep going. Might have to shift and change a little bit, ask for help here and there. Keep going. Don't give up. Number one lesson I learned.
I love it. Is there another one you want to share?
And by the way, I want to say that was probably the most painful because you know It's just no easy task to do a
Mm.
PhD, and it was very difficult. Balancing that in life is what I'm trying to say. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That
You
was
know,
no.
it's interesting. You bring up a good point. So you went through that process, and you mentioned that the time frame that you went through it may have looked very different from the way that others go through a PhD, or the age they are at that time, or how long it takes. And th- that comparison is certainly one of the things that keeps us from taking action. And as you said, so many people quit, and they quit in many areas of life because they think that there's a particular way that things are supposed to happen. When I look at other people out there that are accomplishing things at a certain age, or graduating college at a certain age, and if I haven't done that, I must be doing something wrong.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so being able to step back from that and end the comparison and do, take
Yeah,
action. I,
yeah,
I love the way that you articulated that. Thank you for sharing.
yes. That's absolutely it. It's been true for me, and I believe it to be for others too.
Wonderful. Well, Robin, thank you so very much for joining us on Business Minds Coffee Chat today. The last conversation that we had, it hit me at a pretty deep level, and there are certain people that we connect with in life, and you're one of those individuals that brings a lot of meaning, that brings a lot of purpose, and you, it's there's something in your spirit that I just absolutely love. And so I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. I'm looking forward to continuing to grow with you, continuing to learn with you, and continuing to be in your sphere. So thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Jay. It's been a joy and an honor and a privilege to be here with you and to listen to your insight, even that comes through in your questions. I'm so proud to know you, and I'm happy to be a part of this amazing and transformational work you're doing.
Well, thank you so much. And for the rest of you, thank you very much for watching. And if you found value in this episode, you know what to do. Go ahead and like and share with your friends. And be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And until next time, stay healthy and optimistic. Keep learning and growing. And remember that transformative change in your life and business begins with you, and nothing happens until you take action. And we will see you on the next episode of Business Minds Coffee Chat. Take care.